Hello everyone and welcome to this video where we are taking one of my ships that was made before the compressed gases update and it was never released, and now we're going to be taking a look at the changes that we have to make regarding the temperature, because now temperature is regulated to compartments. We're taking a look at the compressed gas and the pressure of rooms and the air quality in these different rooms, and we're going to see the changes that have to be made to make this ship ready to be released. So let's get going. Specifically for this ship, I've been sort of doing the updates now because I want to get this thing released. I'm super happy with how it turned out, and hint hint, I'm going to be releasing an OMA version of this as well, probably 2 OMA versions. So I really want to get this out so I could get back to shipbuilding. I've not built ships in a while. I've sort of been making cars and trucks and a bit of the call it easier creations to take a break and to rest my mind, but I think I'm ready to start making some nice big ships, so I'm really excited to do that. And I was reading the notes for the update, and they mentioned one of the things was the temperature. So as you can see here, I put a heater and I have a temperature probe, and obviously you turn this up and this is going to increase. But the question is now, how does this affect various chambers? For example, if we step out here, what is the temperature out here? And then that specifically applies to big structures, like the superstructure that has many rooms, interior rooms and whatnot. So for this demonstration, I am going to build a simple sort of test rig. For this experiment, I have this test hull, and this is where we're going to be putting some rooms. Now they're going to be arbitrary rooms, so don't worry about the design, let's call it. It's just meant to reinforce what we want to know about this update. So let's just start by having area like this. And what I want to do, even before I actually put the roof on, I want to make several different rooms and a corridor. And in the back here, we'll make it one big open space, and here we're going to have a couple of rooms like this. And I'm going to go ahead now and put some doors, but pretty much it's meant to simulate a ship that is obviously containing several compartments, so it's not just your basic it's not just a basic kind of open-bodied ship, but rather an enclosed creation. And just a door here, and we will put one on the rear as well, or the stern. Now, not meant to look pretty at all, but the reason I'm doing this demonstration live with you is so as we get our information, we're both going to be, or both or slash all of us are going to be aware of everything that is happening. Even going to put a window. Okay, so now in here I want to build a little test rig, and by test rig just one single unit that's going to contain all of my information. So it's going to contain a thermometer, it's going to contain a barometer, it's going to contain a gas meter, because that's important to know what the consistency is, and then some dials. I guess we don't even need the dials, but for the sake of completion, actually what we're going to put down here is a button and then a heater. I want to put this in every room, but first we need a battery that's going to be in the lower level of the ship, and it's going to be attached to all this stuff. Okay, now let's mount this, like I said, in every room, and then we're going to also worry about the next part, which is going to be the filter system, or rather HVAC or lack thereof. and I'll explain that in a second. So we'll put this in here. Like I said, I want one in every room. Okay, each room now has one, and we're going to connect it to electricity. Okay, that solves our heat issue. Next, we have to worry about the ventilation. So, for the ventilation, what I'm going to do is build another module that I can copy and paste into various areas. So we're going to start with a single vent, and then what I want to do, actually, let's put this near to this one so it's easy to operate. Okay, that's a vent on the outside. I guess I shouldn't have made it so dark. Okay, a vent, and then we're going to put a valve, a manual valve, not a big deal, and then another vent, or rather then a gas filter, and then on the other end we're going to put one of these ports. Now this thing I'm actually going to put here as well, because what I want to do is test to see how this room will get affected by the other chamber, if that makes sense. So what I'm saying is, this room here, this test room, I'm going to make it have a yellow door. The yellow door room is not going to get atmosphere, or rather heat. Sorry, what am I talking about? Not heat. It's not going to get clean, fresh air from the outside, such as this. Instead, it's going to get it from this main room. Okay? So that's this thing here. Now, as well, we're going to take this thing and plop it in a room here. As such, this one's going to get fresh air. But what I want to know is, oh, definitely not right through our console. So what I want to know is, does this room's heating transfer through this vent into this room? So we're going to turn on the heating in this room. We're going to step in this one, see what the temperature is. Then we're going to see the valve. We're going to open the valve and step in here and see exactly what happens. So let's take a look at that and come up with a hypothesis. The reason I want it to be in the Arctic is because obviously we're at a negative temperature, so negative 15 Celsius almost. And what's interesting is obviously at the air circulation thing. We've talked about this in a previous video, but right now, as you can see, we're in the ship, and as we breathe out, we are increasing the carbon dioxide level in this compartment. So what you need is this to be open to the outside world, and then your air is actually getting cleaned. Also, you could open a door. So if you watch this and we open the door, the carbon dioxide level dropped. If I close the door and breathe again, it's going to increase. So you could turn this valve and it has the gas relief, and technically now, as we breathe, the air should still circulate somewhat and drop. Now, does it drop fast enough? That's to be determined. Like, if you need 3 of these maybe, or if you need a pump. But for now, let's just pretend you need 1 is enough. I could see that my carbon dioxide level is not exceeding 11. Let's see if it does next. So, give it a couple more seconds. So it's exceeded 11, but now it's dropping again. So it seems to be going up actually incrementally, which is troubling, because eventually it will go to the point where it is the full, like to the point where we're suffocating. So it is increasing. Maybe we'll need 2 of them, but that's not the full test. That's part of the test. So this is open. Now we're going to turn on the heater, and obviously the temperature warms up, so that's great. Now keep in mind, everything is sealed. So the temperature we're getting is due to the ship interior being nice and toasty. So we're sweating now. It's almost 40 degrees Celsius. We'll see. If we open this door, does it drop the temperature? Indeed it does. So now the cold air from the outside is coming in, and the temperature has actually dropped. If I close the door, you could expect it to go back up. So that is something interesting to note. Previously, the heat would just radiate through the ship no matter what. Now it is actually leaving, which is quite interesting to note, and it changes the game up a little bit. We open the door, that's why our carbon dioxide level dropped. That's all good. Now, let's walk over to the furthest room and open it and take a look at that. The temperature is now increasing in this room. And it's obviously not the same temperature, not yet. Now this one is actually still rising. It dropped a little bit. It was around 60 and now it's dropped. But sorry, it's dropped, but now it's rising. So call it 55 over there, and it's around 34 here. Now maybe it's going to go up, but will it go up to the same extent? That's interesting, because maybe it's the distance, or maybe it's the fact that it's in a different compartment. I'm thinking it's the distance, to be honest, because here we're right next to the heater, whereas in this location we're quite far from it. So it's leveled out pretty much, and it's less than 40. Now I'm just going to no clip through the wall here into this room. This room is going to be minus 15. So take a look. Even though right now we're right close to where the heater is, this is a sealed off chamber. We're freezing in here. So the heat is not transferring through closed doors at all. If I open this, what's going to be interesting is the heat that is experienced here is going to start to drop. So take a look at this. I'm going to open this door, and it drops. Because now it's heating more space, and because it mixed with the cold air in this room. So we're at 33 here, 33 here, and we're climbing back up to 60 here. So that's actually good. That means we're not losing heat in this area. We're climbing back up. But over here, 36 and a half. Over here, 36 and a half. So that is possibly interesting to note, that it is not the distance actually that dictates the temperature inside the room. It is the fact that it is coming through a door, so that this chamber is always going to be colder because it is coming through a door. So what I'm going to do next actually is add a second door to one of these rooms and see if that brings in more air and more temperature. Now in this room, we're going to no clip in here for now. Remember, this room is not sealed or not open to the outside atmosphere. It's open to the room next to us that has the heater. So if I open this, does the heat come in? Interesting enough, it does. But it does not come in at the same speed as it would if it was, call it an open door. But it is coming in. And it's actually heating up this room slowly. So this is a good passive system for internal or interior rooms, interior staterooms, bedrooms, infirmaries, storage rooms, whatever. If you have this type of system, eventually it will even out, it seems. It just takes a little while, but it does actually transfer heat through the fluid port. So that's interesting to note. Right now I'm going to add another door here. Actually, I'll put a small door because I'm curious if having a smaller door lets in less heat. So we're going to test that out with this room here. Just going to put one of these like that. Okay. So we're going to see if this brings in more or less heat if it's a smaller door physically. And then next, just for the sake of clean air that we're breathing here, I'm going to add a couple more of these. So we could see if we can level out the level or level out the carbon dioxide in here as well, I would like to put another one of these, see if we can increase the speed of the heating transfer. Okay, and that should get us a nice bit of information. So first things first, we're aware that we are breathing, the carbon dioxide is increasing. If we open the door, the neutral level is around 10 carbon dioxide for this space. So I close this. I'm going to open two of these because we know one of them wasn't enough to keep up with the my breathing. So we see that now it still is eventually increasing. If we hit 11, that means that it is not enough. It looks like we're going to be hitting it because it's still going up. Now I'm going to open up this valve here. That will increase the transfer. So it's dropping a little bit. 3 of them may be enough. It seems that it's kind of stagnated. It's not quite reaching. Yeah, so 3 of them seems to be the magic number for one single person breathing in here. We're not exceeding the 11. So that's good to know. That's number 1. The pressure is balanced, so we have no worry about the pressure since the update, so that's not even a problem. So that's number 2. So the last thing is the heat. So let's turn this heater on, and we're going to hit our 60 degrees in here. Now I wonder if heat is transferring through these two. Presumably it is. So we may be losing heat because we have 3 of these. So we're going to see if we actually reach that number of 60. Previously we were hitting 60 with this. Maybe it's going to not allow us to have as much of a temperature now. And in the meantime, well, actually, let's wait. So close enough. We're still going up a little bit. It's almost at 60. In other news, the carbon dioxide has not exceeded 11, so it seems 3 of these is enough for one person without a pump, without anything. Okay, we're almost at that 60 level. I'm going to open this door now. Obviously this is going to take a bit of a hit, so it drops and then it starts to pick back up. Now I'm going to open this door here. So in here we've already hit 33-ish. This one's still climbing quite fast. So this one's settled down at around 32. This one's still climbing quite fast. So it may be that it does not matter the size of the door, but rather the fact that it is open to the other room. Yeah, so it seems that the door size does not matter. That would be my conclusion. But what about 2 doors? If I open this and open this, will this one be hotter because it has 2 doors? So these are the same, 32.5. Over here, 34, 34 and climbing. So, oh, no, it seems that it's the same. Now this is closer to the heater, but yet the door here is the same temperature. So number of doors does not matter, size of doors does not matter. It's just the fact that it is open to the space that has a heater. If I no clip into the yellow room here, and I start to open these valves, we can see that our heat is increasing. If I open all 3 of them, the heat is going to increase faster for sure. Now, does the system work for cleaning my air or for circulating my air when we have this type of thing? Also, just on a side note, I really would wish they'd remove this or if they don't remove it, to make it transparent, so it's not opaque like this, but like just very, very faint type of smoke, because this is not exhaust, it's not dirty. Okay, anyways, our temperature is going up. Our carbon dioxide level, if we watch it for a little bit, just to kind of gauge where it's at. It hit 46, I saw. 46 again. 46 again. So it seems that 3 again is the magic number for circulating air properly and not increasing our number of our amount of carbon dioxide. So that's good to know. This is still climbing up. It's not very fast. So I would think we'd need to have some sort of pumping systems. But we're in the positives now, so that's at least good. If we do open the door, this flies up. Now, what I would like to see, just on a side note, would be a port size, like a thing this big, that is actually a door, like this, but just in a 1x1 block. So what you do is you fully open it, and it's open, but you can't have a person come through it. So it's just like a hole like this with a little hole, or it's a little block with a hole, and it transfers it as fast as this transfers it. And then you could have it on a button, so it's not going to be a manual door that you open and close. It's like a button. So this would be my best ventilation system. It would just be 2 of these things that transfer it instantly. They don't go through the process of slowly transferring. They just have like instantaneous connection to the room next door, but you could also shut it off. Anyway, this has been now decided, and if we turn this heater off, this is our only heater actually, it's obviously going to cool things off. If we step out here, this is still -15, and even though that's on and it has those ports and it even has the open door, this atmosphere here is so big that it actually does not pick up on the fact that this door is open and heat's coming through here. So it's always going to be ambient temperature outside, even though next to it it's not. Now this one's cooling off to ambient temperature. If we close the door, it actually retains heat, which is nice. So we're not even heating in here, but it's retaining some heat. So there's a couple of useful items that we've gone through now, useful conclusions that you have now, and that we are all armed with to make our ships better. The last thing I did now is add a pump to the outside world. As well, there is still a filter on it, and I want to try this out because this is now going to dictate whether or not the pump is the equivalent of 3 of these guys. Not equivalent, but what's going to happen? Is it going to bring in enough air? So as you can see now, our carbon dioxide level is increasing, as we know. So what we can do is open the valve, turn on the pump, and now we're bringing stuff in, but actually we're increasing our pressure. So now we're pressurizing the room we're in. Okay, so we still have to have a valve to regulate that pressure. Now say we turn this off. Now it should be dropping because we still have these 3 things open. If we turn this back on, we're pumping more oxygen in, which is good. We're also pumping more carbon dioxide in, but we're just pumping in the composition of the air. So if you do have a pump that's operational and that's pumping in air, you have to just make sure that you don't pressurize yourself and start injuring your health. So you'd have to have it turn on based on the atmospheric pressure. So maybe you cut it off at a certain temperature or a certain pressure. So it like kicks on when it kicks on whenever it's like less between a certain amount, like a threshold amount. So maybe between 1.05 and 1.1 it's on. So it's on, and then once it hits 1.1, boom, stops. So we've pumped in fresh oxygen and carbon dioxide, but whatever, and now it's slowly leaving the system. So we're always ensuring that we're kind of pumping things in. So that is an advantage or an alternative that you could consider. I'm probably going to just stick with these guys, the passive systems, unless I find that they're detrimental to my ship or to my people. It's a little annoying that we have to put 3 of them to kind of level out what would in essence be one person sitting in a room and breathing, but at least with 3 of them we can level things out. For me, for rooms, I'm probably just gonna have 1, and I'll see how that works. So let me know in the comments what you think, if you've found this video useful, the stuff we just learned. But I think we have several good conclusions that we can now kind of base our study on, and helps us whether we're trying to update old ships or make new ships. This is now the stuff we have to consider and do moving forward. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more content, more creations, and more fun. And as always, happy Stormworksing, everyone.